Yes, people, welcome. Hope you are all good. Hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the show. A couple of dropouts last minute tonight. Unfortunately, Guna Lee is not going to be able to make the show, and Luce has got her assignment to do, so she's not going to be about either. But we should have Colleen joining us. We've got Northside back in the house. What are you telling me, bro? You good?
I'm good, man. Just here, just living. All good. Outside of Arsenal, everything's good, man. Everything's nice. How you doing?
Yeah, listen, I'm good, man. And unfortunately, I had a birthday week that was kind of ruined by my football club. I can't lie, man. But, it's one of those things. It's my birthday. They don't like Scorpios. Me and Cecil were like, happy birthday, bro. Happy birthday. We're going to go lose to West Ham and Newcastle and ruin my week. Nice one. Appreciate that. But I thought I'd get somebody back who hasn't been on for a while, that I haven't spoken to in a while. Jess, how are you?
I'm good. Happy birthday. I
Oh,
didn't I
thank you.
didn't get a chance to tell you happy birthday, so I hope you had a nice birthday. And I'm sorry that Arsenal ruined it for you. But I'm good. Like honestly, I don't know. We'll talk about it, but with the results the way that they went over the weekend, it could be worse, you know?
Mm.
So let's see what happens this coming weekend, but yeah, we'll talk about it. I'm good though.
Listen, it's a pleasure to have you both on. Hopefully, Colleen will jump on in a bit as well, and we can discuss all things Arsenal. But Jess, I want to start with you because Northside and I have been talking for a few weeks about our concerns with the squad depth and our concerns with our style of play. And it isn't really listened to until results go wrong because when you're winning, everything's rosy, right? But there's always concerns in when you look at things. And I can always look at positives in games and negatives. Whether you win 5-0, whether you lose 5-0, there's always both, right? So when you look at it, I've been seeing Arsenal win football games. I've been seeing Arsenal draw football games. And when you look at the league table, it doesn't look so bad. But your eyes tell you one story, and that is that we're just not quite the same Arsenal from last season. I think everyone can see that and admit that. And I wanted to get your opinions on why that might be. I don't really want to go too much in the last two games because we've done a lot of talk on that on this channel and on previous channels. And I think everyone's got their say. So in general, I just wanted the topic to sort of be today, why do we think we're not the same team? Because it's the same players out there, right? For me, there's a different change of style, and I'm just not sure why we've gone down this route. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that, Jess, from what you've seen so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Arsenal fans have been kind of talking about the attack. I think that's the main thing is that we don't look as potent or as fluid going forward. And probably that we look very like defensively sound, but things just don't look the same. And so I think now that we've lost a couple of games, people are kind of talking about it more and getting a little bit more worried about it. I spoke about this after the Sheffield game that despite us beating them, they're terrible, by the way. So, I mean, beating them doesn't really mean anything, right? We're supposed
Mhm.
to. But I was concerned about the fact that our attacking midfielders were not our most creative players, and our left back and our DM were the ones that were chefing it up in the midfield. For me, that's a strange way to go about football. I think Martinelli and Saka are being asked to do a lot more than just what a winger is supposed to do. I don't know. I looked at a stat the other day where Saka has some like out of our entire team has the most tackles. I don't think
Wow.
most managers I don't think expect their wingers to be their statistics to align more with fullbacks. Do you know what I mean? So you have
Yeah.
your wingers that are your creative players, they're your midfielders, they're your fullbacks. You have fullbacks that are your number 10, your midfielders. Like there's all these players that are doing multiple roles, but they're not doing them good enough. And I wish that Arteta would strip this back to basics because really
Mm.
what it comes down to is our left back is our most creative and most like the player that's allowed to have the most freedom. I think that that's so weird. I think that's so strange. And so I don't know why Arteta has went this way. I feel like it's naturally kind of went that way anyway because of the players that we don't have in Granit Xhaka and Thomas Partey in midfield. Progressive passers, they always pass forward. They're a little bit more creative from the positions that they're in. When you replace them with Kai Havertz and Rice, Rice is fantastic, but I don't think people realize that like Granit Xhaka had created 21 chances by the time we got to January last season. Kai Havertz has like 8 chances created. That's a huge difference in terms of creativity, passing through the lines, progressive passing. So it's a combination between I think getting found out and people really understanding what Arsenal want to do with their left back, having two players in midfield that aren't the same as the two that are not there, And Arteta's tactics being a little bit too galaxy brain. Just strip it back to normal. I want my wingers only to focus on beating their man, getting the ball into the box and scoring goals. I really don't want Saka and Martinelli looking like fullbacks. Right now, if you look at their heat maps, fullbacks. It's insane. So there's a bunch of things in there, but it's a combination of everything. And Arteta hasn't really figured out a solution for it yet.
You're right. Welcome to the show. Big up, Colleen. How are you?
Hi. I'm good, thank you. You're right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, darling.
Perfect.
How are you? You good?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. How are you
Good
guys
stuff.
doing?
Yeah, we're all right. Considering Arsenal have tried to ruin our week, you know, we're living, we're chatting. It's therapy. We're getting through it, Colleen, and that's the main thing. But welcome to the show, man. I'm glad you're good, and thank you so much for joining us.
No
Just
worries.
talking about the style of Mikel Arteta and how it seems to have changed. And I've got a little bit of a theory on this. Well, not so much a theory, perhaps the way that I think we've been going from start to finish. But I wanted to bring Northside in first on this point because last time we spoke, bro, we said about the squad, we said about the bench, we said about us trying to rotate, and we've now had West Ham and Newcastle with midfield that really has been poor, man. Jorginho, Vieira, and Havertz, and Rice, Jorginho, and Havertz. And I feel like Declan Rice has been brought into this Arsenal side and placed amongst some Chelsea rejects, and we don't quite know why it's gone wrong. So I feel like that was obvious that that was not a big enough midfield. But according to Arteta, obviously he thought it was good enough. But it ain't just the midfield, North side. I'm seeing a lot of players underperforming in this Arsenal side at the moment, and I'm going to have to call them out. Players like Saka and Martinelli that aren't really getting anywhere. Ben White, his form has dipped. Zinchenko can't seem to get into the side, and rightly so at the moment. So it ain't just the midfield. It looks like there's a lot of departments at the moment that ain't really ticking for Arsenal. And I kind of point the finger towards the manager, bro.
Is it safe to call it out now? Is it okay to be critical of the things that we're not happy about? Is it all right now? Because when me and you were talking about it, we're toxic and negative. When I talk about it, oh, why is he shouting? Why is it this? Why is it that? The same thing that's been happening for 20 years. This fan base they're more reactive than proactive. I thought the bench is fixed. I thought the attack is fixed. I thought we're playing controlled style of football this season. I thought that's the narrative. It's already crumbling. I thought we bridged the gap after winning the Community Shield. There's so much wrong, but only now we can talk about it. As I said, you've seen, when I've come on the live, you've heard me say it before. We are not, even after the Man City win and other games, I've been saying, we are not transitioning from defense to attack well enough. It looks disjointed. It doesn't make any sense. In pre-season, we wasn't playing this style of football. And then all of a sudden the season starts and now we're playing this controlled style of football, which is basically playing a low block and hitting on a counter, because we're not imposing ourselves the way we did last season. We're not attacking in numbers. We're not direct as we was last season. And that's what it is. It's another name for it, because a lot of Arsenal fans, they know they've criticised managers like Simeone and Mourinho, etc. And now they're accepting this style of football from a manager that really and truly has never learned to play this style of football. He didn't learn this type of football under Pep. And this is why I was criticising it. We do not have the players to play this counter-attacking football or this controlled style of football. It doesn't work. A lot of our midfielders are roughly samey. We're talking about Declan Rice being the shield for the back line and also contributing and going forward. He's the only midfielder that we're praising this season. The midfield hasn't been changed. It hasn't improved at all. And it's not just the midfield. You know, when you're looking at it, Ben White is always a player that's able to be beat by speed. Let's keep it real. He was very good last season, but he's not the fastest. And if he's caught out of position, which this season he has been, we're going to get caught out defensively. Tomiyasu, he's really shown up how bad Zinchenko was, but we already knew that Zinchenko was bad. We already knew his deficiencies, but we were told, oh, he's pivotal to the way that we play. That's my Bukaria. He isn't pivotal to the way we play. He's part of the reason why we didn't win the league last season. Let's just keep it real. Yeah, Kai Havertz, oh, let's just back him. He was misunderstood at Chelsea. Really? He got some Oxfam hand-me-down penalty. Oh, it'll boost up his confidence. We've seen that this guy ain't good at anything. There's nothing that he strives at. There's nothing that he's great at. And we've already got a midfield of midfielders that we could put in the same category of the same. Fabio Vieira, Lokonga, ESR. We still don't know what they're amazing at. They're like a jack of all trades, but they're not outstanding in anything. Then we've got Jorginho. Oh, he's the experience. He came third in the Ballon d'Or. This guy's not a CDM. I told people this guy's best attributes is not defensively. It's not defensively. And even going forward, I'm questioning this guy. He's over the hill. And when we bought this guy, it was at the wrong time. Like the same wrong time when we bought Willian, when we bought David Luiz, and other players like that. So, and Peter Cech. So at the end of the day, ain't good enough. Eddie Nketiah, we already know he wants to run. He wants to run at goal. He wants to find space behind the defenders and run. We don't have any, we don't even if we have Odegaard, he will not find him. Odegaard looks great against a team that will sit back and allow him space and won't press him. None of our midfielders, apart from Declan Rice, really play that well. Declan Rice and Partey play well if they get impressed, if they're getting rushed to make decisions. But it's all samey. It's all the same type of thing. It's for me, I call it recycling plant football. Just recycle it. Even when we go down the wings, even when you got Fabio Vieira, run down the wing, pass it backwards. Backwards, backwards, backwards. We don't penetrate. We're not clinical enough. We're not direct enough. It ain't good enough. Saka, we needed rotation for Saka, but last January they gave it a 10 out of 10 window. And this window, when we got Rice and Havertz, everybody was happy. The majority were happy. Where me and you, Dan, we were saying this ain't good enough. This ain't good. Why are you complaining? Just get behind the boys. Just get behind this, get behind that. Last season when Saliba got injured, they were telling me, if Saliba didn't get injured, we'd win the league. Well, we've still got Kivior as our next option and Ben White. A Ben White that made his name in this team playing as a right winger rather than a centre-back. Because when he played as a centre-back, when he first come in, he was shocking, which is why he got put on the right-hand side. A Kivior last season that at times got put on the bench over a Rob Holding that we got rid of. So the thing, nothing in personnel is not fixed. And on top of that, this manager, is not proactive enough. He doesn't know how to change the system. He knows one way of playing football. This whole now he's trying to go away from this pep mold and trying to play this control football. He can't do it. He hasn't got the personnel. We don't have a focal point. Surprise, surprise. But people told us just get on board because Nketiah scored a hat-trick against Sheffield United. Like we ain't seen him score a brace against Chelsea, score against Man United, never kicked on. But let's just get behind him because he's one of the youngsters. Like anybody cared when David Bentley didn't make it out of this team, when Jermaine Pennant didn't make it out of this team. Do you know what I'm saying? Nobody cared. But all of a sudden now it's all about the youth. Who gives a crap? You're either good enough or you're not. This is a business and a football club. But let's just get behind Nketiah. Another year of him doing nothing, even though he's been here since 2017 and never done anything. Getting rid of Balogun. The actual teams like in Italy were looking out for him. No, let's keep Nketiah. That's done nothing. Yeah, that's done nothing. Looking like a bust down Jay Huss. Let's keep him. Let's keep Duchesne from Top Boy. Let's just keep him. Why not? Let's just back it. Because this is what it is at this club. Whenever you speak honestly about it, it's like you're negative, you're angry. I am angry because this is not what I expect after phase 4. We don't have a proper identity when I'm seeing Ange Postecoglou go in there with a team that we don't rate that highly and is implemented a style of play. 4 years down this process, and this is what I get. 20 years of seeing this nonsense of being reactionary. And now, all of a sudden, I thought we bridged the gap and our bench is fixed. But now, we have to get a strike in January. Well, didn't we need players last January? But let's keep rotating the same old narrative, doing the same old thing, expecting different things. It isn't working. Last season, and I'm going to end on this. Last season, we had Martinelli creating and scoring. Saka creating and scoring. Xhaka creating and scoring. Odegaard creating and scoring. We had our fullbacks defending and helping the attack, whether it's Zinchenko invertedly going in the middle and going forward. Against Newcastle, he went inverted, he went into the middle. Did he do anything? Did we penetrate? But we controlled the game. We controlled the game and had one shot for 90 minutes. We've been calling this. I called this when we didn't perform against Lens. I called this when we didn't perform for 80 minutes against Chelsea. I've been calling this out. But now it's okay to say it. Before it isn't, because just get behind everything that's pushed out there. It's not good enough. It's not good enough, bro. This manager ain't good enough, which is why we should have never got a novice in the first place. There's players like Trossard that has been in form at the start of the season, had a great preseason. Nah, drop him. While he's in form, nah, we'll drop you. Don't worry about it, we'll drop you. Yeah, and then now that you're not in form, we'll put you in the team, but you're now out of form. But Havertz, we'll continue with Havertz because he's one of your favorites. We'll continue with him. Zinchenko, how many stinkers did he have to drop for him to get dropped out of the team? Odegaard, how many times did he go missing as a captain for him to get dropped? But Trossard, nah, you're dropped like that. It doesn't make any sense. Saka, we had no rotation, but the bench is fixed. We bridged the gap. Ain't good enough, bro. There's so many things negative. I'm gonna stop here because I'm gonna end up going on a run and I'm gonna get hot. Yeah, I'm sick of it, bro. I'm sick of it. I see it for what it is. And why has it got to be? The thing is, when we call it out, Dan, we call it out when this club and this fan base can actually push for more. But now they want to call it out when the transfer window's closed and we're going into January. The narrative last January, when I said we need about 5-6 signings to be serious, oh, but it's too expensive to buy in January. So what's the difference this January? Does it change? Does phase 4 January transfer window change? We get players for cheap? It doesn't make any sense to me. In January, you got a premium, but you got a premium in the summer because everybody's rebuilding. There's no excuse. Just push for the club to go out there and do what needs to be done instead of overhyping Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson, El Nenes. Everybody, I didn't hear this fan base outraged when we re-signed Reece Nelson to a new contract or El Nene or Nketiah, but now it's, oh, you know what, when Nketiah's in the team, oh, it drops the level. Well, what have you been seeing since 2017? But it's okay because he's going to come out with the new Jumanji kit that they've put out looking like Anaconda from Nicki Minaj video. And it's okay because he's going to be there with the props and the puppy and Sacco. And it's all right because new merch, let's just get behind it. Project Youth. It's okay. Let's forget that this guy's not been good enough for this football club as a footballer. I don't know. I'm tired.
Bro, I'm glad that you're happy, Northside. Sounds like you're absolutely bigging it up, bro. Man, listen, I think a lot of what you've said is true. I think a lot of what you said is right. I do think that we've been short for a while, and I think that with the injuries, it started to show. Colleen, let me bring you in because for me, I think when Mikel Arteta joined Arsenal, he started to show a style of play that was completely different to the one that we saw last season. So we saw three at the back, if you remember. We had David Luiz and Tierney just whacking it up to Aubameyang, and that's how essentially we won the FA Cup. And it was working against those big teams like the Man Cities and Chelseas. Then we started to go down to a style which was a lot more attractive to watch. And last season, let's be real, this time last season, everyone was talking about us. We were flying. It was great to watch. These are the same players added on Declan Rice. I know we've got a couple of injuries. We haven't seen Partey much this season. Timber's had the long-term injury. At the moment, we're about Jesus and Erdegaard. But even with some of those players, Kaleem, we weren't really seeing the same free-flowing football. And I wondered what you put that down to, because for me, it's been a little bit disappointing so far to watch Arsenal at times this season.
Yeah, I mean, I completely forgot that we had Northside. I forgot what it was like to have Northside on a show before. It just kind of took me by surprise doing all of this. So nice to see you again, Northside. Nice bit of positivity that you've brought in. Yeah, I mean, I'm not overly happy, but I'm not completely, down in the dumps about how things going on. I kind of want to see where we go with this because as Northside kind of already pointed to, the window's already shut. So there's nothing we can change as it is. And although we played better football, in my opinion, last season, we didn't win anything. We didn't win anything. So I'm happy to see how pragmatic, in quotation marks, if that's how you'd like to call it, we're going to be. And if we're going to get up to that Man City style of starting off a little bit slow, not really in our full rhythm, but then in the turn of the year, hitting full steam and this kind of thing. So we'll have to just wait and see if that is the case. But I'm not necessarily, I'm not happy, but I'm not unhappy with the way it's going so far.
Do you think, Colleen, as well, just quickly, that you touched on it there, that we're going a little bit more in a Man City way? Do you expect to see Arsenal going back to what they were last season towards the Christmas period and above? Because a lot of people keep saying to me about this, this is the way that we're doing it now. It's different. So does that mean we're doing it just for now and then we're going to go boom after Christmas? Or are we just going to keep playing this way all the way across the season, do you think?
I mean, I think we're going to have to. We're going to have to see. Who knows? Who literally knows? I think with everything going on, and with the way we've been playing, I don't think that would necessarily be the case. But I kind of want to see where it goes bang. I kind of want to see where that goes. But I think my look at the Fulham game and things like that, it didn't really it didn't inspire me much, those kind of bits.
Interesting. I just want to address something in the comments because this is when people don't listen to me, man. It says it's funny when Fitz says it's funny when Dan said Howe's a better manager than Arteta. Bring Howe in and Arsenal will skip phases and win the league next year. Shake my head. I said that the job that Eddie Howe has done at Newcastle, for me, is very impressive in the fact that he's in phase 1 and has already got Newcastle into a Champions League without spending 700 million, and it hasn't taken him 4 years. That was what I was saying. I never said that Eddie Howe is better than Mikel Arteta, but if you want to say it like that, that's fine. And to be honest with you, I don't think there is much of a difference between the two managers, to be fair. And I don't think if Eddie Howe comes in at Arsenal, we're going to just skip phases and win a league. I never said that. So just wanted to address that. Jess, let's come to you. I know that we've talked a lot, me and you, about the manager and the situation and where we're at with Arsenal Football Club. And I just can't help but think that we are 2-3 players away at the moment from injury-wise. We've got Partey out, we've got Ødegaard out, we've got Jesus out. We've also got Timber, if you think about it, to come back as well. When we get these guys back, do you think we might be able to at least say we've got our best 11, let's now go and play the way that we did last season? Do you think we're going to see that Arsenal? Would you think that Mikel Arteta is so stubborn now that he was just going to stick with what we've seen so far, and it will be Rice, Saliba, and Gabriel keeping it really solid, and we're going to try and get across the line that way? What's your thoughts?
I mean, I want to say that it's just going to click into gear, but I do think that people aren't taking into consideration that I just think some of our players are out of form. Some of these players, as much as we love them, they go out of form like other players. I think sometimes we just don't anytime our players are out of form, we want to make it into this big thing, but we look at other players at other teams and we just ignore it. I genuinely just think Saka and Martinelli aren't playing that well right now. I don't think the positions that they're in all the time really help them out. But I'm looking at an attack that I'm like, who is actually in form? We're just as a group, I just feel like everybody's just kind of meh. So, and maybe seeing better players come in will help. I think sometimes when you look around you and you see a Partey behind you, you see, Jesus next to you, that brings you up a little bit, So the thing about this conversation was so difficult is that you can say it's recruitment, you can say it's tactics, you can say it's missing players, you can say it's form. We don't really know until we get these guys back. Whether or not we actually get these guys back is another question, because we know we're all waiting for Thomas Partey to get fit. We don't know if he's actually going to be able to get that fitness. We don't know. Jesus has been unreliable. So personally, for me, it's not so much about waiting for these guys to go back and it go boom. I want to see Arteta create solutions with the players that he has, as I'm not as convinced as other people that these players are not good. That's not
what
where
a good coach does. That's what a good coach does, isn't it, Jess?
That's what I want to see. Exactly. I want to see him figure it out without his best players sometimes. And right now he has to figure out a way to get Saka back into form, Martinelli into form. Maybe that's just going to take them playing with each other a little bit more often, with, maybe Trossard through the middle. I've been begging for it. Take Eddie out. How many times did we see last season that Eddie has 2 or 3 decent games and then he falls away? Trossard, when he played through the middle last season, I thought he did a really good job. So why don't we give him 4 or 5 games without taking him out. Give him 4 or 5 games while Jesus is trying to get fit and see what happens. But I do think Arteta needs to take some responsibility and not just wait for his better players to come back and try to figure out what he can do with the guys that he has, because these players are not bad. And I think that starts with putting out the same lineup more than once, stop chopping and changing, make sure players are played in positions that they can actually do well in, things like that. So that's what I'm really looking at. But waiting until Jesus and Partey to come back to see something, I don't think a good manager would do that. I think a good manager would figure it out.
That's interesting, isn't it? Before I come to Northside, Jess, I wanted to stick with you for a sec, because I feel like I learned a lot on the West Ham game in particular, that I kind of already knew. Now, we've actually got some okay players that can make an impact. We've seen already so far this season that Trossard can make an impact, as can Fabi Vieira, who's come on a couple of times this season in the early stages and created something. Eddie Nketiah has been brought on before and has scored goals. But when we ask those players to actually start for us, that's where it goes wrong. And I feel like against West Ham, we saw that. It was like everybody's being told to now start and not come on and make a difference. And this is what you get with Arsenal. And that was my concern. It wasn't so much that, we've not got this. I was thinking, we're starting that team. And then we even brought on Rice, Ødegaard, Tomiyasu, Martinelli, Saka when it was too late. If he was going to do that anyway, I'd rather him have started them and then bring the 5 off.
Yeah, what the thing about the West Ham game is that it showed me again that Arteta really doesn't care about the Carabao Cup. And I know a lot of
Yeah.
people are like, I don't care about the Carabao Cup. I just don't feel like as a club, we've earned the right over the last 20 years to turn our nose up at any sort of silverware. So I wanted to see, for once, Arteta go a little bit stronger in domestic cups. And what I mean by a little bit stronger is just instead of like wholesale changes and putting a bunch of players together that have never played together,
Facts, mate.
like mix it up a little bit more,
100%,
have
mate.
something, make a change on each line, because people are like, oh, well, our backups are not good enough. And I'm like, but just the game prior to that, it's not like Eddie didn't start. Eddie started in that game. Kivior started in that game. ESR started in that game against Sheffield. So when we make changes and it's like one on each line or like 3 changes max, we get a much different result than when we change almost everybody. Did anybody actually think that a midfield of Jorginho, Havertz, and Vieira was going to work? Like, it wasn't. But also what happens, you guys, is when you put out a lineup like that, you're basically telling the players that you don't care about it anyway. Everybody knows who the starters are, who the good players are. They knew. So then when you're looking at Saka's face, Saliba's face, when they're taking their bib off and taking off their jacket to potentially come on, do you think they actually like, oh, so you want me to save this game that's already gone? I think you have to set the precedent early that every single cup is important and play it that way. Then you don't have to have Saka and them come on and try to save you, because quite frankly, they're already thinking about the next game. Like, I'm not trying to get hurt, So I think in general, the way that we manage domestic cups for me is just, for a club that hasn't won a lot in the last 20 years, I don't really understand it. So just mix it up a little bit more. If you put, like, when Trossard starts with the starters, he's fine. Vieira started with the starters before and done fine. But when you put them all together, what do you expect? Against good Premier League opposition, what do you expect? Nobody could have thought that we were going to win that game based on that lineup. In fact, I said we threw it when I saw the lineup.
100%. I said exactly the same thing. And Northside, I'll come to you because I honestly did believe we would make changes in that game, right? I knew we would because of the Newcastle game and just because of how seriously he takes it. And you know what? I was calm with bringing in Tomiyasu. I would be fine bringing in Fabio Vieira, and he had to start Eddie up top in his eyes because he just scored a hat trick. That's cool. But don't make any more than that. Like, don't make 8 changes. Like, there's no need, because West Ham actually weren't that great in the first half, right? But second half, they came out with a fight and the energy, and they destroyed the team that, let's face it, really hasn't played together for a very long time, or actually hasn't really played hardly together at all. So I was really surprised by that. And unfortunately, it just goes to show that he doesn't take these cups seriously. And it's an arrogant thing to do for me, Northside, when a team like Arsenal doesn't guarantee itself of trophies every season anymore. That was a real opportunity for us. And I'd go as far to say, bro, that out of the 4 competitions we're in, that was actually the one I fancied our chances for, because Man City were out of it. So now Liverpool, I come on to, they took it seriously. Okay, they didn't play their first 11, but they beat a Bournemouth side comfortably with a few rotated players. They've got 4 competitions. They've got the Europa League. Okay, they're not in the Champions League, but they're going to go very, very far in the Europa League, and my tip to win it. Now they're probably going to go and win the Carabao Cup. They're still in the FA Cup like us. And actually, some people are now saying, I fancy Liverpool to finish above Arsenal. Now, after the Luton game, they may be changing their mind again because football fans are fickle. But if I'm honest with you, bro, Liverpool have taken that cup seriously. And I'm questioning why we didn't, Northside.
For me, I don't feel like it's about rotating. It's just about rotating the bench. Because for me, if we're saying that we're waiting for our main players, that's a roundabout way of saying that the players that are on the bench, and apparently we fixed this light squad, they're not good enough. That's basically what you're saying. Because if you don't trust them for 90 minutes, means they're not good enough, which is what we've been seeing. They're not good enough. If you're not happy if Partey and Rice are injured to go with it on Nene, that means he's not good enough. That's what it means. That's why you're not trusting him. If you're not happy with Odegaard being injured and Fabio Vieira and Havertz being the other option, that means they're not good enough. That means the talent isn't there. Do you know what I mean? Going with Jorginho, that means he's not good enough. They don't have the attributes. If Saka's injured, are we happy with Reece Nelson? So to me, even this season, yeah, I'm not even going with the view of, oh, when we get our better players back, we look good. No, we haven't. We've looked rubbish all season. We look rubbish all season. Do you know what I mean? We ain't been looking convincing even when we had our starting players, and the matches that we have looked more clinical are teams that don't really offer anything. Sheffield or PSV are teams like that. PSV got rid of their 2 best players this season. You know what I mean? So they're not that great. So these matches, I'm not convinced. Do you know what I mean? Why didn't we perform against Lens? Why did it take us 70, 80 minutes to perform against Chelsea? Did we not have our starters for that game? Like Sheffield United, West Ham, Newcastle. Like we are not looking good. Even if you bring Odegaard in this team, let's be real with it. Odegaard is one of our starters. Yeah, he's one of our best midfielders at this club. He was starting. What's he been doing for the last couple of games when he has been selected? It is a system issue. And the easiest thing a manager can implement, the fastest thing he can implement is a style of play. We've seen it with Tottenham. Ange's implemented a style of play, even though he doesn't have all his players. This manager's 4 years in and he can't implement a style of play. We needed balance to what we did last season. We didn't need everything to be changed. There are some games you need to sit back. This is how we were able to beat Man City in the league and also in the Community Shield. But let's not go on like when we have Jesus in this team this season, we're looking good enough. And also, a lot of people talking about fluidity. We had fluidity last season. This team ain't really changed. Havertz, most people now are realizing he ain't good enough and now are trying to justify him as an impact sub. Rice is the only one that starts. That's really the only other change that we've made to this squad. It's roughly the same squad as last season. And last season we got.
Can I ask you a quick question though? Like, do you not consider the midfield to be almost like the most important part of the team? Like, do you not think changing 2 30-year-olds in that midfield, you don't think it should impact you at all, especially when the players are completely different? Partey, Xhaka versus Havertz and Rice. Do you think that nothing should change just because you have Saka and Martinelli still up front?
Do you know what I think, Jess? Jorginho and Havertz can't do that job. They can't do the job that the manager wants. Yeah. If you've got Rice sitting, he can play that CDM role. And we've seen how great he's played in the midfield, defensively and going forward. When Partey was fit, he was playing him as a right back, which obviously was the wrong call. Then he's profiling Havertz to play in that position, the Xhaka position or the Jorginho. Neither player are great at going forward. They're not that great. Jorginho's not going to take on a man. Xhaka was doing a lot of running. He was running. You need a player. If you got a player that's sitting like that and is the spark of a counter attack, you need somebody that can work in tight spaces, is fast at releasing the ball, has a great pass, has good vision, and makes the right decisions to provide for the front three. Neither Jorginho nor Havertz have that talent. If I'm being completely honest, they're not good enough to do that. Jorginho doesn't have the legs, and Havertz he's not intense enough. He hasn't got the ability. He plays it very safe. And then you've got Odegaard that falls into the same mold, plays it safe. When he's got 2 men on him, a lot of times he goes backwards and sideways instead of actually going forward and providing for the front three. So the whole midfield is not balanced. Fabi Vieira, we've seen the best from Fabi Vieira coming off as an impact sub. He'd come on as an impact sub. I think he got an assist and a goal, and he's done well as an impact sub. But my problem is, yes, I agree with you that there is an imbalance, but at the same time, we've got too many midfielders of the same mold. They don't like to play under pressure. They don't like to go forward. They can't take a man. They're not athletic enough to do what Xhaka did. And then the rest of the team is also not helping, because last season we was playing as a team. It wasn't just on the midfield. Our wide players were creating. Our fullbacks were creating. Our striker was creating. And now we don't have that. So for me, there's too many things wrong, not only with the midfield, but with the whole squad. The system you can't play. I've always said this, when you're going to play this low block controlling football, you need a gunman. Simeone had it with Diego Costa. Mourinho had it with Benzema. You've seen these managers that play this football. The most pivotal thing is a striker. Then you need a deep player that is able to transition the ball. Then you need a number 10 that is going to look for your attackers. Odegaard plays it safe. He plays it safe. As soon as there's pressure, he plays it way too safe. I don't understand why Jorginho is being asked to shield the back line, because this guy, I've seen players just run past it. He doesn't even put a foot in. Everything is unbalanced. And he's trying to shoehorn Kai Havertz. We are yet to establish what this guy is good at. The guy's never been good at anything. Some people told me he's a good header of the ball. He's not a great header of the ball, even though he's quite tall. Some people said, oh, he's misprofiled, play him as a 10. He's worse than Odegaard. I don't see it. The only shining light is Rice, and that is shocking because he's just come in. I really like Rice, but I think it goes to show how bad our midfield is when our CDM is the guy pushing the ball. I've seen Saliba this season run out of defense, bypass the whole midfield, and then provide for the front three because we're not transitioning, we're not moving the ball, and he's got frustrated. That's embarrassing. It hasn't, for me, it hasn't been good enough. Saka, I'm like, the reason I don't get onto Saka is I think the boy is injured. The boy is injured. He doesn't look fit. And now what's so damning is the players look confused just as much as us as fans. And then Arteta's two little trump cards, Saka and Martinelli, one's in bad form in Martinelli, and the other one, Saka, I think he's injured. He's played hitting 90 games in a row? How is that good man management? How is that good man management from this manager? He did it to Partey when he got injured, and now he's doing it to Saka. And now we're surprised. Look, Eddie Nketiah ain't great, but Eddie Nketiah is more of the role of Aubameyang. He's not someone that's going to drop in deep. You have to give him service in the box. And even when you do give him service, he's not clinical. So why don't we go out there and get Ivan Toney? Why? Because now we would have went into January and Ivan Toney's over the line. But no, we're going into January. Chelsea need a striker. Man United need a striker. When's the last time we went on bidding wood for a player? We didn't get Rafinha. We didn't get Buendia. We didn't get Isaac. We didn't get Guimaraes.
We did get Declan Rice. I mean, it's not like the best club in Europe didn't want him to. But I get what you're saying. I think I understand every single thing you're saying. I think some of it is a little bit like it. Like if I didn't see your background, I would think that you were like a fan of Man United or some club like in mid-table. Like, no, seriously, because like the energy is like, but I get it. Everybody is frustrated because it's like, well, why aren't we playing the same way that we were playing last season? Why didn't we build upon it? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm frustrated too, but I just feel like I kind of understand why some of these things are happening. And I just kind of want to see if Arteta can figure it out. It's only a quarter through the way of the season. It's not done yet. Just like people thought that we had won the league by like March, there's still time for things to change. So I get it, but like we're not.
What about me?
We're not bad. We're not.
Sorry, Jess. What about me comes across as a Man United fan? I started supporting this club in '92. The last time this club won the league, I was 12 years old. I'm 31 years old now. Yeah, I've had enough. 20 years I've not seen this club compete for major honours after promise after promise. This is the third youth project I've seen at this football club. Yeah, we moved to the Emirates when I was supporting this football club. We were winning. Yeah, and I could talk with chest. What is there for me to talk about chest? This whole fan base love to talk about Tottenham. They're nothing. They don't win anything. And the majority of this fan base are happy not winning anything. At the start of the season, the predictions from the majority of this fan base was, we have to win a major honour. That was it. And it should be that. And I agree with that. Let's not move the goalpost because we are spending money. We have this ownership that we were against as a fan base. We're not even talking about them anymore because they're giving this manager money. Kai Havertz, no one was convinced. The club still slapped down 65 million pounds. I'm sorry, I don't sound like a Man United fan. I don't. I'm a passionate Arsenal fan. I'm sick and tired of the same narrative. This club since 04 is give him time, give Wenger time. Oh, don't worry, top four is enough. Oh, don't worry, as long as we get Champions League. We've never won the Champions League, nor have we ever taken it seriously. Since we got to the final in 06, when's the last time we've taken it serious? We don't even take the Europa League serious. Let's keep it real. We got slapped up in Baku, and since then we ain't taking it serious. This manager threw it in the bin to concentrate on the league. Last season, this is the same team that we're going with last season. But guess what? Even when we got kicked out of every competition, we got second last season. This season, you can't say bigger fish to fry for the Champions League, and we've not improved the bench. How do I sound like a Man United fan? No, I'm a passionate Arsenal fan, and I see it as it is. And I'm not going to go with any narrative online because I'm not saying that you do, but I'm not, because I think for myself. And maybe it's also my background, because in Portugal, it would trigger the whole fan base. In Portugal, if you're Portuguese and you support you support Arsenal, you're going to get the biggest reality check. They don't care. We do not care in Portugal about, phase 4, phase win now. That's how it is in Portugal. We don't care. And that's why I've come on YouTube, because that football has not changed. People talk about football change inverted. The aim of football is to win trophies. The reason we're bigger than Tottenham is based on trophies. So we're not going to talk about, we should be demanding this club to get their act together. We should be demanding it because they moved the stadium. They told us that we're going to compete with the big dogs of Europe. And I'm still waiting because we're still giving managers way too long. We're still spending a load of money, and not getting anything out of it. What is there for me to be happy about?
I didn't say be happy. I just felt the energy.
Why do I sound like a United fan?
No, the reason why I said
what I heard. Go on, Jess. Go on. You speak to
No,
yourself. Go on.
the reason why the only reason why I'm saying that is because like the season's not over yet. I guess because I'm like from your perspective, you're like you've been upset the entire time. You know, you've been speaking this forever. I think some of the things that you've said have actually been untrue. Like the idea that I have conversation with Arsenal fans all the time. Arsenal fans were not all excited about Kai Havertz. Arsenal fans were not flip-flopping on what they expect for this season. Arsenal fans are not lying about the expectations. You're not the only one, but it's like the way you present it. I think like we don't play low block football. You said that with chess, but we don't. Like, I mean,
What
I'm
do we
just
play
like,
then?
but the thing is if people like what you're saying, they won't pull you up on anything. Some of the things that you have said haven't been completely correct, but I understand the sentiment, but the season is not over. We can still get better from here. And like, there's certain players that are not in the team. Like, come on, like you have to take that in consideration, don't you? That you're talking about we don't look fluid because Jesus, blah, blah. Jesus has barely played. Like, you know, just it's not the end of the world. It's not the
I'm
end
just
of the
talking
world.
on facts, not feelings. Jesus has never been a clinical goal scorer. Fabi Vieira's never proved himself. El Nene's never proved himself. Neither has Reece Nelson. Most of this bench was called the reason why we bottled the league last season. But all of a sudden, this season, most of the narrative. And listen, I'm the receipts guy on my channel. I got all the receipts on everything that's been said. So, like I said, I'm not saying all Arsenal fans, the majority, and I see how a lot of people swing with it. I go on channels like Dan Potts. Not everybody agrees with me. So I'm more than happy to be challenged. But at the end of the day, this bench, the main reason why we bottled the league last season, has not been changed. It's the same bench. And now we are saying we're not comfortable with a lot of these
Was
people.
it the bench or Saliba? Because you said before, like at your beginning of one of your rants, you said that everybody was saying that Saliba was the main reason. So is it the bench or Saliba? Which one was it?
No, I said the bench isn't good enough, which is why we say when we have to rely on this bench, nobody does rely on it, and nobody's happy to
You
rely
said
on
that's
it.
the main. People were saying that's the main reason why we bottled the league.
Yeah,
but
when we bottled the
earlier
league,
you said the main reason was because of Saliba. Which one is it?
I never said that. First of all,
You
I never
did.
said that. I never said it was because of Saliba. I said this bench has not been addressed. And when people are telling me that the bench was like last season, why was the narrative from the majority of this fan base that we had a 10 out of 10 transfer window in January if we still have a light bench? And when we flop the league, oh, it's because we have a light bench. We had two players, which only one of them has been impressive. And people were saying when we won the Community Shield, we've bridged the gap. All the receipts are on my channel. Yeah, we bridged the gap. All of a sudden, we can compete with Man City. And now we're screaming for a striker in January. I've been saying that before it was popular to say that, because I can see that it ain't good enough. We're even sat in here on this stream saying, oh, we prefer Trossard through the middle than Nketiah. Why? Because Nketiah ain't good enough. But where was the outrage from this fan base when we re-signed Nketiah to a new contract when we know he ain't good enough? Because it's on sentiment, not on what we actually see and what we really believe. The majority of that bench is more on hope than facts. The majority of that bench ain't good enough. I never said anything individual about Saliba. I said there was a couple of fans, a lot of fans actually last season that said, we bottled the league also because when Saliba got injured, the backup weren't good enough in Kivior and Rob Holding. We got rid of Rob Holding and we still got Kivior. So how have we strengthened that? This manager's not seen to strengthen the bench and he's not strengthened our centre-back situation. And he's not strengthened us in terms of our attack. And our midfield, like we just said, when we play the bench, it looks disjointed. Makes no sense. It makes no sense. And then the players that he re-signed to a new contract, Reece Nelson and El Nene, doesn't even get a game. So why re-sign them? Why?
Why are you even talking about El Nene though? El Nene doesn't even barely get on the bench for real. Like,
so why did this manager resign him? Because it's not like Jorginho's been convincing. Why did this manager resign him then? And this is why I question this manager, because he ain't good enough. Why do you re-sign Reece Nelson and El Nene when none of us would trust them? If right now we had to rely on them two, nobody's putting them in the team. Nobody wants to play them and rely on them. And this is what happens when when Arsenal fans talk about, oh, but look at our starting 11. Yeah, that's great. But your bench, there are situations, suspensions, injuries that will happen. Are you comfortable to rely on them? Because if Martinelli's injured, I do trust Trossard because I think he's got the ability. If Partey's injured, I do trust Rice because I think he's got the ability. But when you're talking to me about Fabi Vieiras and Zinchenko's and players, I don't trust these players. So why didn't we improve in that? We don't trust in Nketiah. After scoring the brace and his fan base going, oh, make your apologies louder. People already saying play Trossard through the middle. We've been seeing this.
I'm never really. I don't know. I guess
Listen,
we live on different
listen,
planets
Olivia.
in terms of the Arsenal sphere. But I mean, you're saying a lot of things, and because you're talking fast and you're talking loud, you feel like you're making good points. You're saying okay things. Like some of the stuff that you're saying is okay. People are not saying apologize to Nketiah. Most Arsenal fans have said that he's not good enough. So who are these Arsenal fans that you are listening to that are lauding him? I think you're over. I think you're
AFTV is
overreacting.
clipped up on my channel. Listen, I got all the receipts, so nobody can tell me that I'm not saying that. At the end of the season,
It
when this
needs to be
doesn't
more
work,
than one
I'm gonna
random
throw
ass
it all
account.
out. I'm not. Listen, that's why I got the receipts, so people can't say that it ain't true. And AFTV has a massive pull in this fan base because they're looked at as the focal point of the fan base.
Yeah.
So, and I see the views, I see the likes, I see the comments. A lot of people follow suit, and it was said there, and I got the clip. Northside LDN, Mr. Receipts. It's not that I'm saying a lot of things. Everything I say is backed up by my channel. And then people are telling me, oh, you're only making the name off of AFTV. Or a lot of people are influenced by AFTV. And if they're reciting what I hear from AFTV, I'm not saying you, then I'm going to call it out.
Northside and Northside does this. We've had Gunali, we've had Tom, now we've had Jess. Welcome to the show, people.
Lawyer sentence, bro. I have the receipts.
It's like, good.
Big up Cliff, thanks to the super chat. Says nice chat, people working Miami having a listen. I think Northside wants accountability. He's not going to see shit. Oh, okay, he's not going to see shit and sing kumbaya. Big up Cliff, appreciate that. Listen, I think a lot of what Northside is saying is true. I think a lot of it is actually to do with standards and raising the standards for sure. What I want to know though, Colleen, is what can go with Arteta next, because I think he's got some options personally. I think there's some options to change things up. And even with the injuries we've still got, the Erdegaard's
Yeah.
parties,
Yeah.
Jesus, right? I still think we've got something that we can see in this team. There's an option, for example, for me to see Trossard on the left and Martinelli through the middle. That could be something that could change across the front three with Saka on the right. We could see, instead of Havertz, we could see more of Fabi Vieira. We could see Zinchenko coming into the 8, which people are saying that he's kind of doing anyway when he plays left back. I made a joke earlier saying that if we put Zinchenko there, he'll probably end up playing left back for most of the game. But for me, I think there's a couple of things we can do, Colleen. I really do.
Yeah, I think also as well, I think we can take it back a step even. And I know what I'm about to say is we haven't seen in the last 20 years, but I think we're in a different phase now. And I don't even just mean that in terms of the football cycling phase. I mean in terms of our ownership phase as well. We now have KSC who are now 100%. They've got all, before it wasn't the case and they weren't willing to invest. And it was that kind of, difficult period when we were in the beginning era of the Emirates era. Whereas now, and of course, seeing is believing, and I'm still not 100%, pro them because I need to see success and I need to see ruthlessness from them. But judging by how much we've firstly invested into this squad and Arteta, I think that he's going to die on his own sword here. So you live and die by your own sword. So the signings of Havertz, if this doesn't work out, or if we don't win a major honour, which should be the target this season, it should be internally. It should be within the fan base. If that doesn't happen, then you go. This is the ruthlessness that I'm looking at for KSC, and it's not like we're in the position where we were 3-4 years ago, where we came cap in hand, on our knees, being like, we just need someone to lift the mood a little bit. Forget about Champions League. We just need someone to raise things a little bit. And Arteta's become a victim of his own success, if you like. And I say success loosely because I'm saying from where we were. I'm not saying that he's been super successful, but he picked up a trophy. We've started. We've seen progress in the league table since he's been here. So that's what comes into the point that you've made. There's so much he can still do here. You guys have pointed out at Trossard through the middle. We've pointed out that Havertz could even, when he played on the right even as well, I was so much more, how can I say, so much more enthused in that game there. But I don't think that necessarily benefited Saka, but I also think he's a little bit out of form. He has also changed things where we had that first beginning of the season, whether that was tactical or not, with the whole Gabriel thing, which didn't work, in my opinion, him not playing and, that kind of shift there. He was trying something new. There is so much we can still do with the midfield. There's still so much more. We could even suggest moving Zinchenko into that left 8 if you want to go crazy. But I think there needs to be a balance of, okay, making the correct and right amount of changes where we don't see what happened at that Fulham game. Because for me, we should have won that Fulham game, and I think that was Arteta's fault tactically. Not sure what was going on behind the scenes, but it just didn't work. And eventually, he saw and changed it. So I'm quite calm around what's going on. I'm not super happy with the football. I think we've played better under him, but he has shown us that he can change his style of play. But you live and die by your own sword, and I truly believe that if that isn't the case when things end by the end in May, then I don't see him staying here just purely because, and then this is where I say, okay, I need to see more from KFC. We haven't seen this often, but if they're in there spending this much money and 100% of the ownership, he's not going to stay. They're not going to be like, okay, we spent 500 million. Do you know what? Just because you came to us when we were our lowest, we're off. And I saw someone also say in the chat, I think it was Ricky, asking, do you think? Because I made the point earlier, okay, maybe we're a bit more pragmatic. We'll use that term. Don't know if that's the right one, but where when it going gets tough, can we go on a 10-15 game run? Like
Yeah.
Man City do. And I can't answer that because it's the same thing with Arsenal. Can they win the league? Well, we've not seen it in so long, so I don't know. But this is where the difference from last season to this season needs to be. And I think if he doesn't do that, it's thank you so much for the rebuild you've done. Thank you so much for getting the fans back on the same page. Thank you so much for all of this. But it's time now to bring in someone else who can then jump us to the next level. Now, I hope that isn't the case. But this is where good coaches are the difference between good and elite and world class. So let's see.
Great.
I think you made great points there, Colleen. I really do. And I think this season we might see if Arteta is the nearly there man or if he's the guy that gets us across the line. I wanted to touch on tomorrow night quickly in a minute. I'm going to ask Northside and Colleen and Jess what their 11 would be before we close. But Jess, I wanted to just touch on what Colleen had said there because it's really
Yeah.
interesting for me to see that Arteta has actually made some serious decisions this season in relation to the goalkeeper. He's made a real important decision on Havertz coming in. When Partey was fit, he was playing him at right back and dropping Gabriel. He stuck with Eddie up top. There's been a lot of brave decisions by Mikel Arteta, and I think that there's been a lot of question marks over some of those decisions. And Colleen makes a great point there about falling on your sword and dying on it. I believe some of those decisions he's got to get them right because there's a hell of a lot of pressure on him. So I wondered what your thoughts were there, and do you believe that he will get them right?
I think he has the ability to figure this out. I do. I think I saw enough from him last season where I'm like, you could figure something out. Whether or not he does that, we have to see. And I'm really honest about what I see. I'm seeing a manager that doesn't quite have the answers just yet. But we're one game away from, winning. If we beat Sevilla tomorrow, we're into the round of 16 and we're only 3 points off the top of the Premier League. So it's not, it's not insurmountable, I think, at this stage. But I think Colleen makes a really interesting point around what happens if it doesn't work out? What happens if we don't win a trophy? We're already out of one competition, probably the easiest one that we could have won. So what happens from here? I think I saw something from The Athletic where they did a poll from Arsenal fans and how happy they were with Mikel Arteta and the direction that we were going in. 75% that they said that they were very happy. So I think Arsenal fans also have to remember that there's a whole group of fans that go to games, that are always in the Emirates, that quite frankly, I don't think if he doesn't win anything, Arteta out is going to be in the stands. I think online it'll be there. In the stands, it probably won't. So it's a tough one. I think he has to win something this season. That's why I was really disappointed about what happened against West Ham. If he doesn't, a lot of questions need to be asked. He spent a lot of money. Those big moves that he made. I mean, Havertz for me is just that has to work out. It has to, because it just was so unnecessary, and it's probably the biggest reason why we're not seeing what we want to see right now. I just think it's a huge black hole there. So I think he has all the talent and ability to get this right. Whether he does or not, we'll see. We'll start from tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is so important. You win that game, you're in the round of 16. You don't win it, then that's 3 losses on the bounce. So it's a slippery slope. But I do think Arteta is a very good manager, but this is a very big job. You know,
Mm.
those are two different things. Can he do the big job? Arsenal are not a small club. So
Yeah. No, listen, that's an interesting point. And do you know what? You make a good point because Errol was on my channel last night. He's a Liverpool fan on the channel who you all know. And he said, look, Arsenal fans need to decide come January, February where they are, what competitions they're in, and if they actually see this working with Mikel Arteta. And my reply to that was, this fan base will not. And the reason they won't is because there's the majority of them, like you've just said, Jess, 75, I'd actually say it's probably more 85 now, that are happy with what they're seeing. They love Mikel Arteta. They're happy that he's brought everything back to the Emirates. I've got no doubt that he's lifted things at the atmosphere of the Emirates. That's fine by me. That doesn't win you a trophy. I've got no doubt that he deserves a lot of credit off the pitch. That don't win you a trophy. I've got no doubt that buying dogs and calling them win is a nice thing to do, but that don't win you a trophy, right? So for me, I need to see trophies to judge a manager. And that's why I look at managers of the past, like the Wengers, the Mourinhos, the Sir Alex Ferguson's, Pep Guardiola's, Carlo Ancelotti's, Diego Simeone's, the list goes on because their CV tells me they can win things. And at the moment, Mikel Arteta does not say that. He won us a FA Cup, and I appreciate that. I always will. I always appreciate managers that win us things. But for me, I need to see more after 700 million pounds being spent. Northside, let's come to you, bro, and then we'll close on Kalina and Jess. Tomorrow night's a big game. Jess has said it already. It's a huge game. And we want to make sure we go through this Champions League by winning the group. Talk to me about what your team would be, bro, because we've obviously got some options, as you've just mentioned. What would you like to see tomorrow night, team-wise, for us, bro?
In defense, Tomiyasu, Gabriel, Saliba, Ben White. Don't really think we have many more options. Zinchenko's a liability. The goalkeeper situation, I don't even know. I kind of feel sorry for Raya. Listen, it's a toss of a coin for me at the moment. I don't know which goalkeeper is better than what. I do think Raya is not comfortable playing out from the back, which is confusing. I thought that's why he got this goalkeeper, but he doesn't look convincing playing out from the back, which is weird. In the midfield, I put Rice. I put Rice. Partey and Odegaard ain't back, are they?
No.
No? Okay. I put Rice. I put Fabi Vieira and Mohamed El Neni. Then up front, I'd go
Wait. I mean, I like a little bit of El Neni. I think he's a cutie little tootie. You though, after the whole 30 minutes before. No,
I didn't create this team. I'm just going with what's there. I'm just going with what's there. Don't blame me. I didn't create this team because I would not have this team. I'm just going with what's there. Don't shoot down north side. I'm just a receipts man. You know what I mean?
I'm just surprised. I'm just surprised that he was even an option.
I've got to do with what I can with this fixed bench. What can I do? I wouldn't have kept
what you're saying is you'd have El Neni over Jorginho. That's what you're saying, yeah?
100%. And Havertz.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So you've gone El Neni and then Rice and who did you say, Vieira?
People have completely lost their entire mind. Yeah. People are kind of just because they don't like Jorginho. Now all of a sudden El Neni is better than Jorginho.
Explain to me why you like him.
Have a rest. Lie down, take a nap, come back to me when you've gained your sanity. You may not like Jorginho, but let's get real. El Neni, in the prime of his career, was loaned out to some random place, and we didn't even know he existed anymore. Jorginho at least played for one of the better teams in the. You guys, be for real. Be serious.
No, but I've asked you to explain to me.
You know what?
Because I know why I've put El Neni into
instead of playing
Nketiah, why I'm doing my lineup, I can explain to you exactly why he's going in the lineup.
Instead of playing Jorginho, Arteta, just lace your boots up. Lace your boots up. After not playing for 10 years, you're probably better than you guys.
Yeah. I'm president of Georgie's fan club. I'm not going to lie to you. I do.
I'm very real because I can explain to you exactly what El Neni can bring to this team. You cannot explain to me why you like Havertz and why he should be in this team. He's not done anything while he's been here, and he's not done anything prior coming to here. Yeah, and we're talking about, he was at a big club. Yeah, and they got rid of him. Just like when they got rid of Willian to us, and we soon saw why. Just like when they got rid of Peter Crouch. Peter Crouch, Peter
I'm
Cech.
just surprised
You know what I'm
you
saying?
said El Neni
Well,
out of everyone here. I'm not gonna lie.
I
I
can
was just,
explain why.
but
There's always thought behind what I say.
Zinchenko is a liability. Cedric, lace your boots up. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, you guys. So you may not like
It's
some
very
of the
simple.
players,
It's very,
and they're
very
easy
simple.
to attack.
It's very simple.
Right
Declan
now,
Rice,
it's acceptable.
Declan
in
Rice
my
can do the
fan base.
Xhaka role. Declan Rice can do the Xhaka role. We've seen it,
All,
even when he's
all
playing
I'm
CDM.
saying,
So you've got Declan Rice doing that. El Nene, he's not very good at going forward, but I tell you what, he's at least competent at one thing than the guy that you're defending, like a lawyer. In Kai Havertz, at least he can defend, so he can give.
Oh
me
no,
something.
I was defending Jorginho.
Well, what is good? What's Jorginho good at? Because he ain't creating nothing and he ain't defending anything.
He's way better than El Neni.
What does he do? What does he do? Recycles the ball side to side like it's Wimbledon. What does he do? Does he create anything for the front three? Does he defend? Because I saw runners running off of him every time he's sitting.
El Neni doesn't really defend either. He just runs around.
El Neni's a competent defender. Let's be real. In defense,
El Neni's okay. So we've just. I'm in the twilight zone. I've
sorry,
woken
Dan.
up.
I just threw in a grenade.
Planet. Okay, we are on planet North side, where El Neni is a competent defender, and he's a better player than Jorginho. Just because we're mad, right now in this fan base. Hold on, let's real 1 second. In the fan base right now, this is what the one thing I don't like about our fan base is it's acceptable to beat down on certain people, and then what we do is we lie and start saying things about the players that aren't actually true. Jorginho is clear of El Neni. And as much as you don't like Zinchenko, be effing for real. What you're saying right now, this comparison, El Neni and Jorginho, you might as well go get Cedric. Like, instead of playing Zinchenko. Like, seriously, I get it. It's okay not to like Jorginho. Everybody hates Havertz. Everybody hates Zinchenko. But El Neni, I love El Neni, but don't make me cuss on dance channel, y'all.
But it's my lineup. What are we talking about here? At the end of the day, Jorginho
because you said facts, not feelings. These are not facts.
These are facts. Jorginho doesn't do anything, which is why you're not comfortable with him being the shield behind the defense. He doesn't shield them. Defensively, he ain't good enough. People talk more about Havertz's defensive XG than Jorginho, because Jorginho does not shore up the defense, nor does he help out the defense. Which is why when we got him, I said he's not good enough. And even going forward, he ain't creating anything. And we saw that in the last game against Newcastle. All he does is recycle the ball side to side. He does nothing to make anything, which is why we only had one shot on target in the game against Newcastle. He's not creative enough. Yeah. So he ain't good enough for the job the manager's even setting him out to do. El Nene.
How do you know what Arteta's asking him to do? You said that we want to play. No, you said we want to play pragmatic football, boring football.
No, I said your manager
That's
is.
What you said. So how do you know that the manager is not asking Jorginho to recycle possession? How do you know that? How do you know that that's not by instruction?
And is it confident? Is it looking good? Is it looking good? Or we've just done a show about how Arsenal ain't looking good? Is it looking good? Is it looking convincing? Is it?
Because right now we're doing a whole show about how we're not looking convincing. Because you can't
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Last time listen, the question was up to me. So
everybody heard that. Everybody heard that. He moved the goalpost because he knows he's not right. He knows he's not right.
I'm going to get a receipts box, and everybody can put their receipts in the receipts box.
I went off Northside Planet. I went off Northside Planet. Can somebody come get me? Mom, come pick me up. Mom, come pick me up. I'm scared.
That's fine. At the end of the season,
I'm scared. El Neni's a world-class player on Northside Planet. Get me out of here.
That's fine. That's cool. Because when you're talking about Jorginho, this long monologue, like we're on Power, and it's the flipping lawyer for Tommy and Power.
You spoke for 10 minutes at the beginning. You're the only person who's done a monologue on this show. Be for real.
Can I finish my starting 11? Is that all right?
Go on,
at the end of the day, you're laughing, yeah? But you like this manager. This is the bench that we're with, this light squad and this bench and this midfield that you said is destroyed. It's your process. You back your project and you back your process. Because I've been saying this ain't good enough. So you back it. If we don't win anything, then cool. Apologies in my apology box at the end of the season. Like I said, my starting 11, as I carry on, yeah? It's cool. I'm not the one that likes this project. Why are we debating on your manager's bench?
Go ahead and put Ramsdale at the top because you don't like Nketiah. Go ahead.
I don't like half of them, but I'm not defending them like you are because I know Jorginho's not good enough. Let's keep it real, Jess. Jorginho's not good enough, neither is El Nene. I'm picking the best out of
you want El Nene in your midfield. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. With the bench your manager created. Trust the process. Anyway, with this fixed bench, let's go with El Nene because actually, he can actually do me a competent job compared to Jorginho and Havertz. But listen, Jorginho, as long as he recycles the ball, we had more possession against Newcastle. Did we win? uncomfortable conversations, but we're playing control football. Listen, I'm just going with what we've got. I'm not the one that backs this process, and I'm not going to sink with it in like the Titanic.
What's the rest of your lineup?
Like I said, Declan Rice, El Nene that can actually defend and do a job, and like Jorginho and Kai Havertz.
We're done with that, okay.
German Harry Potter up front. Listen, I don't know why you're not backing your boy Nketiah. Yeah, I thought back the process, back the youngster. I'm putting Trossard through the middle. Yeah, Trossard.
So am I. So am I. You went too far. It's fine. I want Trossard up front as well, but I'm sorry. The Albany thing was so funny. I'm sorry. It just was. It just was.
But listen, just back the process. Listen, it is what it is, isn't it? Back your manager, sync with him as well. We've got Trossard. Then we're gonna have to play Saka in it because I guess we don't really rate Reece Nelson, even though your manager signed him to a new contract now. Like what do they do now? We got needs for it. Then we got Martinelli on the left. That's what we got to go with. Thank you for letting me get through my starting 11, Jess. Thank you. You didn't interrupt. You know what I'm saying? You know what? Yeah, this is actually fun. Listen, I grew up in a house full of women, innit? I grew up in a house full of women, innit? So I could argue all day, bro. I used to get tag teamed, but I can't lie. You know what I mean? And listen, Jess reminds me of my older sister.
Wait, Northside can argue? No way. Huh? No way. No. Never.
You see, I'm experienced though, innit? I'm experienced. Yeah? You just keep talking. You don't even listen to them. You just go, you just keep talking. You know what I'm saying?
I love that, man. The longest 1 to 11 I've heard in a while, Northside. I can't lie, bro. No, it's calm, bro. It's calm. Colleen, let me ask you the same question. Do you expect to see changes tomorrow night? What would your 11 be?
I think I'm going for a pretty strong starting 11. I wanted us to do a professional job, and then in an ideal world, have it wrapped up at halftime, 70 minutes, and make some changes and look forward to Burnley on the weekend. I think the goalkeeping situation is above me. I refuse to even partake in who's going to start, who isn't. I have no idea. Do you know what? Throw Carl Hein in for all I care. At this point, I don't care. I don't know. I really don't know. But I think we go with a strong back line, like our regular kind of back line. I would probably still have Zinchenko. You probably could play Zinchenko at home, to be honest with you, but I'm a little bit more comfortable with Tommy at the minute. I just don't think Zinchenko's in his best form, and he's not his best attribute isn't defensively anyway. But if we did want to swap them around since we're at home, I would put Zinny in. But otherwise, Tommy, Saliba, Gabriel, Ben White. I'm having Jorginho in my midfield, Rice, and then I'm kind of curious then how this kind of shapes out at the top. It could potentially be what I think will happen. It will be Havertz, Martinelli, Saka, and Nketiah. I am with the same. I would rather have Trossard through the middle. I think he also deserves to start, especially at home. I liked what I saw from Havertz at Newcastle. I'm not gonna lie. I also think as well, we need to get in the boat and row with Havertz as well. He's not going anywhere. He's definitely going to be a part of this team. So the more minutes and more confidence or whatever the hell it is going to be that he can get, I want to see him in it. But yeah, I'm expecting that kind of strong squad. I'm not expecting Vieira to start. And I think he has been pretty good a few times this season when he's come on from the bench. I think he's definitely gone up a level from the season before, but I would just want to see a professional performance. Let's just get through to the round of 16 and then see where we are, especially as we're at home, and then maybe switch things around. I wouldn't be mad if Reece Nelson did start instead of Saka, for example, just because with Saka, it's one of those ones, do you take him out or do you just let him play through this kind of out of form, potentially injury coming back into it period, because he's always just been electric for us, no matter where, our shining light. It's always it's a little bit like, oh, he's not in a purple patch, he's not in his 8 out of 10 out of normal. How do we navigate this? So that's where I'm going to leave that to Arteta, and I'm going to say it's above me. And similarly with the goalkeeping situation, but I'm expecting a strong lineup, professional performance in the first half, start making some changes in the second. I don't want any nasty surprises.
Interesting. Jess, I'll come to you last because I'm going to give you the team that I'd go with. I hope Jess puts El Neni in her team. I I'm gonna go in goal with Ramsdale. I'm gonna pick Ramsdale for this one. I think he deserves a Champions League start because I feel like he's responsible for getting us into this competition. But also, I'm seeing many mistakes from Real. I actually think that was his fault. And if he catches the ball properly, like most goalkeepers do in the Newcastle game, then we don't even have any of this VAR rubbish in this goal because that was poor for me again. And I don't even think he's a shocking goalkeeper. I just don't think I've seen a huge upgrade since he's come in. So I'm fine dropping Ramsdale for Donnarumma, Allison, Edison, those man. But I don't think Raya is anything of an upgrade than I've seen so far. He might be a better goalkeeper if you want to go down that route. We can debate that. But I don't see a huge upgrade here. So for me, I'll be bringing in Ramsdale. I would go with a back line of Ben White at right back, although I do think he's been poor of late, but I will stick with him. Tomiyasu would be my left back. And then I'm going with Gabriel and Saliba. And then I'm going to go with Declan Rice as the 6. I'm going to go with Zinchenko as the 8. And then I'm going to go with Fabio Vieira as the 10 if Erdegaard is not fit. That's what I'm going to go with. And then my front three would be Saka and Martinelli either side of Trossard. And then I'd ask Trossard and Martinelli to kind of switch. That's what I'd be doing. And then you take your players off once the game's won. You take the Sakas off, take the Martinellis off, and go for it that way. I don't think Jorginho and El Neni is that much of a drop-off from each. Personally, I know Jess disagrees with that. But I don't think El Neni's really let Arsenal down too much. I don't think Mohamed El Neni's ever come into a game where I've gone, you've put a 3 out of 10 there.
Oh,
That's just my opinion.
She's coming.
Yeah, no. Listen,
No, I'm not. Y'all want El Neni in your team, child? Do you?
No, I didn't put him in the team. I didn't put him in the team, but I don't think he's. I don't look at El Neni and think that is a huge downgrade to Jorginho. I do to Partey, of course, but I don't to Jorginho. I think the pair of them are like all right cover. I don't want all right cover. I want decent cover. And like Northside said, I think Rice and Partey is decent. There's not much of a drop off there. But for me, yeah, that's what I would do. And I'd like to see Zinchenko in this midfield role because I feel like you can bring it back if it doesn't work. You've got players there that can come and you go back to the old way. But for me, I need to see a little bit different in that midfield. I don't want to see Jorginho, Havertz and Vieira. That's not what I want to see. I don't want to see Rice, Jorginho and Havertz again, man, because that for me just didn't work either at Newcastle. So that's where I'm at, man. But yes, Jess, you get the last word. What a privilege. Go for it, man. What would we doing?
You're not going to like me very much. All right. Yeah. I'm keeping Raya in goal. I agree with everything that you said, that I don't think that he's particularly playing that well. But at the same time, hopefully we can get through this game and win it. And then I want Ramsdale to play in like the last Champions League group match if he can. Like Ramsdale, I want him to play that because he deserves to at least play one. But this one, no, I don't think so. White, he's not in good form, but he's all we got, so unless we're going to say that Ben White is not any good and we rather have Cedric. Northside, would you rather have Cedric there?
Also, I'm also president of Cedric's fan club.
You are. I forgot that. That.
The North remembers. I will not forget where he came in for that 7-game run, 2 seasons ago, and put in solid performances for us. Sorry. Listen.
Oh my God. Cedric is terrible. Okay, so
how dare you? How toxic and negative of you? How dare you? If Arteta wants him, you want him. Don't call him out. Why can't he?
Saliba, Gabriel, Tommy. Tommy did the presser. Tommy's gonna play. Tommy deserves to play. So it's just that simple. I'm gonna go with the same midfield that played against Newcastle. I think as much as people are trying to y'all, they were not as bad as y'all were trying to make them out to seem. They weren't. I'm sorry.
Trust the process. Sorry. Listen, you're fully on board.
You guys have lens crafters, right? Need to check in, get you an appointment. Because your contacts, your glasses, your whatever, they're deceiving you, my friends.
Are you excited? Are you not the companies? Are you excited?
They were not even that bad. So I'm going to go with the exact same. Also because personally, I don't really want to see 2 number 10s either side of Rice. I just think we don't have enough. Like we just don't have enough. I don't think that works. So I'm going Jorginho captains my side. Yes. and Declan Rice is going to play on one side, and Havertz is going to play on the other. Then Martinelli, Trossard, and Saka. My team beats all your team, by the way.
Your team.
Right, here we
your
go.
team makes
Let
one
me just
good
mute
chance
this
against
for 10
Newcastle.
minutes.
Your team makes one clear chance against Newcastle. Wow. And we should have held life as well. We should have held, well, we would have got packed like the Tesco meal deal, the crisp, the sandwich, and the drink against Newcastle if Gordon and Wilson could have scored. But let's go with your midfield, innit? I hope your manager does. Trust the process all the way till it crashes. Yeah, I'm going to be here with the
Our
box.
manager.
Jess, I'll be looking for your apology, yeah? Don't say nothing crazy, or you may become a thumbnail. You look very nice on my thumbnail as well. Very nice on the thumbnail. You know what I'm saying? With whatever take you got, very nice. I've got it. Listen, it is what it is, isn't it? I'm collecting apologies at the end of the season. The man's been getting it this season.
Listen, let's go through the.
Your agendas are clouding your vision. It's okay, though.
Let's go through these.
I've
I've got a load of super chats, man. So let's get some super chats in before we close. This one comes in from George Gooner. Says Arteta has done rather good over the years. However, if this is a so-called process, don't bear fruits this season, and we don't win nothing, he will have to go. We mentioned that earlier about there being pressure on him. This one comes in from SG. Says no trophies. Arteta and his dog needs to get sacked. Arteta and his dog. We'll still have Win the Dog. We'll win the dog outlast Arteta. Can you imagine?
Honestly. When will outlast a lot of people?
Probably the players and the manager.
Northside, to be honest with you.
I
did big up James, regular listener.
I like Win. I like
yeah,
Win.
man. Win's cool. Win's cool. Zinchenko showing weaknesses without Mikalenko behind him for cover and Mudryk ahead of him as an outlet like he had Ukraine. I'd love to see this Zinchenko in the 8 thing if it's really that great what people talk about for Ukraine. Then we're not exactly doing great at the moment in midfield. So maybe we could do something there. Clifford said the last 10 minutes of this show needs is clip worthy. Yeah, fair play. AB15 says, guys, be real. Arsenal are not winning the league. And then the last super chat is, who was the worst college professor you all had?
I don't even remember.
I don't remember. I'm afraid.
It's a long while for me.
That's not a very English term.
It's been a good 10 years. Can't remember.
Yeah. I'm 36 now, so it's been a long time for me, I'm afraid. Listen, guys, thank you all so much for listening. Make sure you do us a favor and like the video. Make sure you get this up to 250 likes. That'd be amazing. And subscribe to the channel. Our next one is 13K. We're at about 12.5 now, so let's get to 13K ASAP, people. Thanks so much for joining. I've got to big up my panel as well. Northside, come on, man. Real one. Always saying that how it is. Speaking facts, not feelings. There we go. I said it right. How can people follow you, my bro?
Northside LDN. Not for the people that get rattled easily. So yeah, be warned. A lot of clips, a lot of receipts. And yeah, man, listen, calling it out, before it's fashionable. And yeah, when it crashes and burns, we'll collect receipts. So yeah, Northside LDN on YouTube, same on IG. And yeah, love the debate. Big up, Jess. Been nice. Colleen as well. I've actually had a good time. It's actually been a good stream. I like this, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, big up. Love Dan for getting me on as always.
Glad you had a good time. I'm glad you had a good time.
We try our best, innit? We try our best. You know what I mean? We try our best. Jess, I guess we'll talk the end of the season, innit? Yeah.
I just want to let y'all know that usually people come back and say, Jessica, you were right. Like, I know what I'm talking about. Okay.
Remember, we were top of the league in Jan. Just be happy. Just be happy. So,
I actually said last season that we would not win the league. I knew it in January. I know what I'll be saying, okay? But I'm not on Northside Planet. El Neni sucks, okay? I'm taking Jorginho all day long.
El Neni
You're
sucks.
not bringing me along
Kai
on this ride.
Havertz is the answer. Kai Havertz is the answer. The German Harry Potter, the German Doctor Who. He's the one. Does nothing for 90 minutes, steps in the phone booth, teleports 90 minutes, but it's all right. You know what I mean? We'll see it. We'll see. I hope he gets stuck at the same time.
Make sure you go.
Make sure you go big up P45.
Make sure you go big up Northside LDM. Make sure you go follow his content. Make sure you go give him a follow on Instagram. Colleen, what you got coming up? How can people follow you? What you've been up to? Go for it, man. Plug your stuff.
I mean, honestly, it's absolute chaos, really. So just follow Colleen Shane. Just hope I appear somewhere. Next time, I would also appreciate, Dan, the heads up when Northside's going to be on. I think it's been about 6 months since I've been on a show with him, and yeah, it just took me some time to remember that he's a little argumentative little fellow over there. But yeah, follow us at Colleen Shay. There will be new content for me in the new year. But yeah, I'm just trying to get used to my new time zone, to be honest with you. And
Yeah,
yeah,
fair play to you. Listen, you anytime you're welcome on, you know that. And make sure you go follow Killeen. Jessica, what you got coming up? How can people follow you apart from Northside?
Yeah, you guys, if you just go to the YouTube search bar and go Shino's Arsenal, I'll pop up. Channels there, you guys can follow me there. And then also like on Twitter, Jessica Black TV. That's where the mess happens. That's where we get really real over there. And join my planet because we talk facts there. Okay, baby. Real facts. Not this whatever's going on down there in Northside Planet. Y'all don't want to go there. Don't go there. Come to me. Come to me. He's wrong about Onani, by the way. Okay. Yeah.
Big up, Jess. Thanks so much
Please
for coming
clip
on.
that, Dan. I need that. When we talk
Clip
receipts, I want my receipts. Okay, clip that. And I need that. I need that in the vault.
I'm petty. I'll be coming for mines. You know what I mean? Coming for mines.
Okay, you think you're petty? I'm Petty Ann. Okay, I am
Clip me your season.
petty.
Clip your season, please. Clip me. Clip me your season.
Love it, man. Love it. It's all love. Listen, thanks so much, all of you, for coming on. Make sure you go follow Jess. She knows Arsenal as well. Make sure you like and subscribe over there. If you are interested in a bet this evening, this weekend, make sure you go over to Bread and Honey Bets. Link is in the description. Make sure you go check them out on the Patreon. And we'll see you next time. Up the Gooners. We'll be back tomorrow evening. Take it easy. We're out of here. Laters.